Hello, DevOps friends. Happy Friday. It's Friday again. It's another office hour. I'm Jochen, the Monospace mentor, and during my office hour, I sit here and drink coffee. Except if you ask me questions, then I'll answer them, because that's the whole purpose of this stream. You ask questions about all kinds of DevOpsy stuff, Devy stuff, Opsy stuff, DevOpsy stuff, and I'll do my best to answer them. So, if you have a question about software engineering, about system administration, Linux, Kubernetes, Chef, Ruby, career, whatever, then go to mspc.sh/office hour. Link is in the chat and up here, and post your question there, because I'm streaming to 3 different platforms, to Twitch, YouTube, and to my own Owncast instance at live.monospacementor.com, and having everything in a single place, like my Q&A board, helps me to field the questions, to see if some of them are getting upvoted, because they're particularly interesting to you. Because yes, you can upvote the questions of others there, and I can get them on screen, and so everyone who joins the stream mid-answer knows what I'm talking about. That makes it much easier than simply posting questions to one of the different chats. So please go to mspc.sh/office hour, post your question there, and I'll pick it up and try and come up with something useful for you. And as mentioned, if there aren't any questions to answer, there's still coffee to drink. It's interesting that in recent weeks, my live coding streams were a little bit spotty. Often I didn't have quite the mind space or the motivation, or sometimes other stuff got in the way. But these office hours, they're really regular. They seem to, yeah, there seems to be something in there. So I hope you're going to have as much fun as I'm going to have during this hour. I also hope that you're going to have as much coffee as I have. From the bottom of my heart, I wish you coffee, or tea, or any other beverage that you like. The main thing is, ask questions. Let me do a quick housekeeping check here. There we go. Oh, and by the way, it's my stream anniversary. 7 years. For 7 years I've been doing this racket. Now, I started in March 2018, and now it's March 2025. Time flies. Hairs get more grey, but the stream is still there. Your QC, thank you. That's very kind of you. People are slowly dripping in. Hello, everyone. This is my office hour. The mode is, you ask questions, I try to answer them. Easy as that. The place is mspc.sh/office hour. Post your questions there. I'm going to enjoy this day. Earlier today, I was at the optician's to pick frames for my new glasses. Haven't had glasses in 30 years. I've been using contact lenses all this time, but I thought, yeah, might be better for my eyes to be able to switch. And I actually got approval from my precious for a specific set of frames. And so in about 2 weeks' time, I might pop up on stream with glasses. New QC writes in chat, I try Linux since 6 months in dual boot with Windows. That's amazing. I mean, that's how we all start out, I guess. Only very few people start out with their first computer running Linux already. And it's what got me back to Linux on the desktop after many years, more than 10 years using macOS as my workstation operating system. So, I mean, I started using Linux in 1993, shortly after it came out, got my hands on a set of CDs and installed Linux. And of course, it was a very rough experience and it didn't last for too long. I used it, I recognized its capabilities as a server platform with SendMail and Apache and these things. However, getting a graphics card going with the correct driver settings and all these things, well, things like that, new hardware support in general was so bad, of course it was, that it wasn't really working for me as a workstation setup. So I went back to Windows and around 2010-ish, well, in the meantime, I might have tried Linux again and it was better, but in 2010-ish, I got myself a Mac Mini and hey, the experience was so much different. And that's what got me into the Apple ecosystem that I since have left again, but for a good dozen years, I was firmly in the macOS camp in terms of my workstation operating system. And then I said, okay, hardware support in macOS is of course great for Apple hardware, but Apple doesn't offer NVIDIA cards for gaming and stuff like that. So let's try something different. And I heard that Windows 10 by that time was great. And even for development, many developers are using Windows after all. And so I started using Windows. It was nice, but not great as a desktop experience in my mind. And then I installed Linux in dual boot, as you did, NeoQC, and realized, hey, not only does Linux the Linux stuff well, it also does the gaming stuff well. I used Pop! OS, and Pop! OS came with NVIDIA support out of the box, and it was really great. And I found myself not booting back into Windows again. except for very rare occasions where I needed something like the Affinity graphics suite. And I could easily install that in a Windows VM on Linux. At one point, I simply nuked and paved my my workstation and installed Linux with Lutris for gaming and Steam, of course. And I'm only a casual gamer anyway, so that wasn't a huge problem. And yeah, so for the last few years, I've been running Linux as my only desktop operating system here, and I'm very happy. Manic Weiner joining us says, I used to use Windows, but my install disk was stolen by tiny gnomes or gnomes. Hello. Using GNOME as well. I find GNOME a great desktop environment. And just the other day, this week, I installed a few more extensions inspired by what's the YouTuber's name? Typecraft? I think it is Typecraft, isn't it? He presented a bunch of interesting GNOME extensions for tiling and other quality of life things, and I installed them, and they're really, really nice. So I'm enjoying my GNOME desktop even more than before. Yeah, Manic Weiner. I mean, Tray Icons is, I guess, the one extension that probably everyone needs if you're running stuff in the background and want to keep an eye on it. Even if you are not a fan of extensions and plugins, I think the Tray Icons plugin is more or less essential. But I have about a dozen, and they make my life so much easier. RJ joining us saying happy affiliate anniversary. Thank you, RJ. That's very kind of you. 7 years. Can you imagine that? I've been running this stream for 7 years now. Manic Wider says, by the way, sorry, I haven't been in for a while. Daytime's been busy. Hey, same for me. That's why sometimes my stream schedule is very spotty. But as far as I can see, this office hour stream has been very, very regular. If there wasn't anything that came in the way in terms of work appointments or doctor's appointments or stuff like that, the office hour is a very stable stream. So you can more or less count on me going online on Friday afternoons to answer your questions, which gets us back to the office hour. Post your questions to mspc.sh/office hour and I'll try to answer them. If you have any dev or ops questions, hit me. Fullesnabel already here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Fullesnabel avoids plugins. Personally gotten sad too many times when plugin disappears. Oh yeah, I mean, I tend to also only use plugins that seem very well maintained, and so far I haven't been disappointed. On the contrary, actually, I got quite a few donation requests from plugins lately, which seem to have caused a little bit of controversy in the community when plugin authors add these nag windows or something like that. But seeing how the open source community has been going for the last year or two, I think we need to find ways to make open source development more sustainable. I mean, I'm pretty much in the same camp with my teaching and community work. By the way, speaking of community, take a look at the server room. I've added free access to our forum now, so you don't have to pay a membership fee if you can't or don't want to. I'd love to see you there, because so far it's been great for the few people that are already in there. We help each other grow, and it's a lot of fun. So if you're looking for a nice, friendly, inclusive community, check out the server room. And of course, if you can support my work by getting a paid membership, because that allows me to put in more time into courses, into workshops, into these kind of things that I offer free of charge to our members. Let me wait. Let me finish my thought here. That was a quick detour. So the plugin authors chose to ask for donations, and I actually paid a few one-time donations to them, because I think that's the minimum I can do. If you can afford it, try and support open source developers using GitHub donations, joining their Patreon, or simply throwing them a coffee here and there. And I think that's at least a first step towards a more sustainable open source ecosystem. Maniquala uses GNOME Dash to Dock, app indicators, removable drive menu. Yeah, they're great. I use Dash to Panel. That's kind of a reminder back to Windows, but I like the panel more than the dock because it's a little bit more versatile, with being able to also display other status information. And yeah, a few more. I use Tactile to tile windows, and yeah, a few more. I'm probably going to do a deep dive in the server room, which is one of our community events where I go and spend about an hour talking about a specific topic, and I think my desktop environment might warrant such a deep dive. And so yeah, I'm going to share what else I've installed. So there is a question on the board, actually. I'm not sure how serious it's meant, but still, are you a vibe coder yet? I don't think so. I admit that I have installed Copilot in NeoVim, and it helps me with basically auto suggestions for stuff that I would type anyway. So it makes my typing faster, but I don't do much in terms of coding yet. But to be honest, I haven't done a lot of coding lately anyway. I need to get back to doing more work on our Rails customer dashboard, and more work on our internal automation cookbooks for our hosting infrastructure as well. And I might use AI support a little bit more than that. However, there's still the ethical conundrum with use of AI, and I'm definitely not going to do the kind of vibe coding that some people do, where they don't know what they are doing at all and simply hop from prompt to prompt until there is some kind of application that they can then monetize, and 2 days later they post on social media, help, my application has been hacked and everyone is abusing it and the database has been stolen, what can I do? So that's definitely not the kind of vibe coding I'm aiming at, but yeah, we'll see how useful AI can become, and if it's ever going to be, if there is ever going to be a way to use it really ethically and without the whole environmental repercussions. RJ asked in reference to my deep dive on my desktop environment, would that cover any special keyboard mappings you have? Well, yeah, sure. I don't think I have too many special keyboard mappings except for tiling and things like that, but they are mostly the defaults that the extensions come with. But of course, the deep dive is basically a presentation that I do for community members. and we all hop on a Zoom call. I do the presentation, but you have all the options of asking stuff, of interjecting and asking questions and things like that. So that's what the deep dives are all about. I prepare something and then we get together and talk about it. Fuller shares, I have been on a 3 days AI company-wide course now and been enrolled to a vibe coding training in Copilot. There are official vibe coding trainings? That's hilarious. We are all in on AI apparently. Okay, I'm not sure if I should pity you or congratulate you. God. NeoQC. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Manic Miner says, I still haven't used AI, well, not knowingly, but I imagine I'm using it more than I realize with horrible bit companies. Might be. I'll admit that to me, sometimes AI services are too useful to ignore. Especially when it comes to prose, actually. Since I'm not a native English speaker, I can use all the help that I can get, and finding ways to phrase things, getting suggestions how to convey a specific concept, things like that. Sometimes is really, really helpful because it is a little bit like having a language coach. And I guess, I mean, a large language model can definitely help you in terms of spoken language because of all the prose it has ingested, ethically or not. So yeah, I find that really, really useful. I find it more useful for writing, as writing support, not for having the AI write my stuff. I'll never stoop down to that. But yeah, more helpful for writing text than writing code, actually, because in terms of writing code, I pretty much know what I want to have. There's another question. Not a tech question, interestingly. Any meditation tips? I recently had sleep disorders and meditation seems to help. Any tips appreciated? That's a great question. Apparently that question comes from a more regular viewer who knows that I do meditation. Yeah, I mean, my stance on meditation is don't make it complicated. For me, meditation means freeing up my mind. Oh, thanks for the hint. I need to find a way to get the ad notifications in front of myself. Fuller says back. Interesting. Twitch still says 32 seconds to go. Just to be safe, we'll wait for half a minute. So if ads get in the way, feel free to post it in chat to make me aware. I'm happy to wait. Unfortunately, ads are helpful, especially to get people who just join the stream to stay instead of having to endure a pre-roll ad. So I have to run them for newly joining people's sake. But yeah, I'll be happy to pause my talk for the time being. So, meditation. Manic Winer says, I don't have a routine of meditation as such, but I've learned to just be and switch off. This happens best when I'm walking, as I burn some physical energy off, which helps my sleep routine. Yeah, I mean, there are many things that help sleep routines, and I've been dealing with sleep issues for years now. So that topic is front and center to me, actually. It's not a DevOps question at all, but since it influences badly my whole DevOps work, it's an important topic that I'm happy to spend a few minutes on. So, where to start? Yeah, as we've established, there are a lot of things that help with sleep. Some are physiological. For example, sleep requires your body to cool down. And so one recommendation would be don't do things that heat your body up like hard exercise or things like that. Taking a shower, even a hot shower, does actually work because of how the body distributes the blood when you take a hot shower. Basically all the blood comes to the surface of your skin and your muscles, which means your core temperature actually goes down. Things like that. But I guess we are more talking about the mental side of things. And if I have trouble falling asleep, trying to meditate at that time only works half of the time for me, I guess. And the other half leaves me even more desperate because I tried some meditation and it still didn't work. However, having a regular meditation routine in the first place, I think helps because I think it gives you a little bit more control of your monkey mind, of the mind that keeps you awake, that keeps throwing topics at you and keeps you thinking. And because during meditation, and as I said, don't make it complicated, it's absolutely sufficient to do some breathing meditation and simply try to focus on the breathing or on a specific spot in your body or a specific sensation. And simply trying to keep your mind centered on this particular thing. And if you lose your focus, simply going back to it without being judgmental, without beating yourself up over it. This routine, I think, makes it easier when your monkey mind is turning on high RPM at night, because it makes it easier to say, yeah, it's okay, but you can calm down now. You can become more sleepy now. Let's save these thoughts for tomorrow when I'm awake again and when I have more energy, and simply say, not being desperate. Oh my God, my head is racing and what should I do? But it's okay. There's a lot of stuff that's apparently on my mind. I think it makes you more empathetic for yourself, I guess. More, yeah, it raises your self-kindness, if that's a word. So it's not about meditating at night when you can't fall asleep. It's more like building a relationship with your monkey mind. That's how I would phrase it. Building a friendship with your brain that keeps throwing stuff at you. And so going back to the question at hand, any meditation tips is simply do it regularly. Carve out a time in the morning or in the evening when you simply spend 10, 15, 20 minutes meditating, doing a breathing meditation, centering your mind. And over time, as with all exercise, it will probably have positive results. Manic Winer wrote in chat, modern life wants us switched on, plugged in and reacting all the time. Yeah, unfortunately that's the case, but I think we shouldn't become victims to that, at least not helpless victims. There are things that we can do to get out of the rat race, to hop off the hamster wheel. And meditation is one of these things, I think. Fudaslav wrote, I asked the question, my issue is that I had an issue during January that taught my body sleeping is dangerous. So when I try to fall asleep, my pulse can rush. It is better now. I found meditation was helpful to calm my pulse down. Yeah, I think it's not a panacea, what is, but it's helpful. And the kind of kindness I mentioned also means that you can be kind towards experience that kind of trauma that you are talking about. Even it might just have been a small trauma, not something major, but it does slightly at least affect your mental health, and acknowledging that instead of burying it is definitely more healthy. And maybe being more aware or mindful, as they say, will help you notice I'm sure it's more a when than an if, when it gets smaller, where you can at one point notice, oh, the January thing is back. It hasn't been back for days now. It's the first time in a week that it's back. Interesting. So the intervals are getting bigger. Or you notice, oh, my January thing doesn't affect me as much anymore. It's still there, it still comes back, but it's less. And I think that can make you more hopeful, more positive, seeing, yep, it's not gone already, but it's not gone yet, but it's getting tinier and tinier. And so eventually it will be gone. Things like that, where simply watching yourself, observing yourself is helpful, and meditation is a great way to do that. So my main tip would be try and get a regular schedule going. I'm still trying the same. I am tracking when I do meditation. At the moment, meditation has another motivation. That is, I have, up until last year, I had terrible hip flexibility because of all the sitting that I've been doing for decades. But end of last year, I started karate classes again, and I'm now working towards brown belt. My hip flexibility, of course, needs to become better. Sitting cross-legged has been a huge issue for me for more than a decade now, forever. And now I'm sitting cross-legged on a yoga block, which makes it a little bit easier. The raised position makes it a little bit easier. And so meditating is stretching exercise as well. So there's a double motivation for me to do it more regularly. And so, yeah, that's definitely something that I can recommend here. What a great question. Thank you for that, Fullesnabel. I really, really appreciate it. It wasn't a tech question at all, but I think all these health questions that can affect how we deal with tech, how we do our jobs, how we find time for computing as a hobby, is definitely absolutely not off topic at all. So, if you've just joined us, this is my office hour. Office hour means you post your questions to mspc.sh/office hour, and I pick them up. Other people might even upvote them. I pick them up and try and answer them. And I'm doing that for an hour on a Friday afternoon. Outside, it's starting to rain as predicted, so I'm more than happy to sit here and field your questions. Feel free to keep asking questions, and I'm looking forward to answering them. And in the meantime, I'll simply have coffee. And where did the music go? Music. Hello. For some reason, the music stopped. Oh, well, let's start a new playlist. We still have about... I know what happened. Those Bose in-ear headphones are terrible. I can't use them outside because they keep falling out of my ears, regardless of what kind of tip I put on them. So I'm using them inside now. And even here, they keep falling out and I have to adjust them all the time. And since a single tap on them is play pause, simply adjusting them in my ear oftentimes stops the music, in this case my Spotify playlist. And yeah, so this is really, really annoying. I can't recommend the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra at all, not the slightest, I'm afraid. Only Element, hello! They're right, we have a challenge. We are pretty tight on exposing our GitLab, so we can't use any GitOps solution like Fluxcd or Argo-CD because GitLab is on-prem and my product infra is on Google. What are my options for utilizing GitOps? I'm not very familiar with the Google Cloud platform. I have never used Google Cloud before. However, I'd be surprised if they didn't offer anything like that. Because if it's okay for you to run your infrastructure on Google, I guess it should... Oh, wait. Yeah, so let me finish that thought and then we'll get to the other one. If you're already running your infrastructure on Google, why not also run your GitOps service on Google? And I'm pretty sure there is one. We can actually, if you like, join us on the server room and ask a question there, and I'll spend a few minutes trying to find something out. I'm not going to do some research live here on stream now, but you can definitely join us on the server room, our DevOps community, and ask a question there. But the other thought I had was, wait, your GitLab is on-premise and your infra is on Google. That doesn't mean you can't do GitOps, because it's mostly GitLab reaching out to your infrastructure to do continuous deployment or deployment at all. And that is definitely much less critical from a security standpoint than having your infrastructure reach into GitLab. But that's not the case, actually. GitLab doesn't sit there and waits for your infrastructure to ask something. It's GitLab gets triggered by a deployment, by a push, and then it goes out and does stuff and talks to things. That's at least a nuance that I'd like to emphasize, that even if there are security concerns regarding exposing GitLab, as you wrote, you might not have expose in the sense of the word GitLab at all. You might simply have to allow GitLab to reach out to your infrastructure or to the Google API, Google Cloud API, to do stuff. As I said, that's much less of a security issue. Maybe that gives you a little bit more opportunity to argue for actually being able to connect your internal GitLab instance to your infrastructure. But if that's not an option at all, I would probably look into what Google themselves are offering in terms of GitOps, because I'm pretty sure there are services like that on the Google side of things. I definitely know that there are some on the AWS side of things, and I can't imagine Google not offering something like that. Because I think that is the case with many enterprises who do run GitLab on premises, because all the tests and stuff like that can, of course, easily run on-prem without having to reach out to the internet at all, maybe to pull down some Docker image or something like that. But apart from that, most of the stuff happens on-prem anyway. But sometimes you need to trigger something, and that means talking to an external API. You could simply pierce your firewall and allow your GitLab instance to send HTTP requests to the Google Cloud API. That's a very clearly defined narrow window that you need to open, and only in one direction. And I would be surprised if that was an issue, because otherwise I'd have to ask, why do you then run your infrastructure on a public cloud? If security needs to be that tight. That would be a little bit of a skewed security policy, at least from my perspective. Only Element says, it gave me a few ideas to argue with the sysadmins. Good, 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 good. Happy to help. All right. So we have a few more minutes to go, which means post your questions. Use the opportunity to ask questions, post them ideally to mspc.sh/office hour. Why? Why not in chat? Because I'm streaming to 3 different platforms, Twitch, YouTube, and my own cast instance at live.monospacementor.com, which is the most privacy respecting alternative of the 3. And managing all 3 chats is a bit of a thing, and having all questions collected in one single place, in that case my Q&A board, then makes it so much easier for me. And since those questions also get displayed in a very nice way, I can get them on screen easily, so people who are just joining the stream in the particular moment I answer a question get the complete context of what I'm talking about. And that makes stuff so much easier than having some kind of chat message or a bunch of chat messages that people can't retrieve anymore since they only just joined. That makes it much easier. So that's why I ask you to use the Q&A board. And hey, you don't have to log in. You don't have to leave anything like your email address or something. You can simply go on there, post anonymously, and that's it. So I hope it's not too much hassle. Now I also ran out of coffee, which means hurry. But hey, that's pretty good timing. Lasted me for 55 minutes. Why am I running two Nextcloud clients on my workstation? That's strange. NewQC asks what browser you use. I've been using Firefox for quite a while. I did a few experiments with Vivaldi and Brave. However, Chromium is Google. So Firefox has been my go-to browser for quite a while, up until recently when Firefox, or Mozilla for that matter, kept shooting themselves in the foot in terms of public communication and making it very questionable, or making us users suspect questionable activities, at least, to put it this way. And so at the moment I'm running the Zen browser. Even though Zen is definitely based on Firefox, it's quite obvious it's more or less a skin on Firefox. They do make changes towards better privacy, even before the privacy activities of Mozilla got into question. And so as long as Firefox is there, I'm pretty confident that browsers like LibreWolf or Zen will be there as well, but more privacy respecting, at least as privacy respecting as Firefox is. I mean, if Firefox doesn't lower its privacy practices, all the better. That means that Zen will be at least on par with Firefox. And if Firefox actually does what many people think they are going to do, then Zen or LibreWolf will still have the features of Firefox, but better privacy. So it's in my mind, it's a pretty safe bet at the moment. I mean, yeah, if Firefox goes away completely, then we are shit out of luck, but let's hope that's not going to happen. Only Element being a Zen browser user as well. Yep, I do enjoy Zen quite a bit. It has a few bugs, minor ones, but I do enjoy using it. And I'm making extensive use of its tab group feature. Makes it easier to separate work and Monospace Mentor and my personal stuff and things like that. Makes it much easier because I can combine tab groups with privacy containers, and that comes in pretty handy. UXC asks, do you know EOS for Android? I use it and it's very good for privacy phone. Yeah, I actually am using a Fairphone. And I did consider getting it with EOS. However, since switching to the Fairphone meant using Android for the first time in my life after, yeah, again, decades of using an iPhone. I started using the iPhone 3G and then I upgraded from time to time. And I didn't have any prior experience with Android, so I didn't go all in on the privacy thing because I didn't know how big the constraints would be on me, say, using banking applications and things like that. So I opted for the normal Android experience on the Fairphone, which is pretty nice, to be honest. Being able to sideload applications from places like F-Droid, for example, is already a huge advantage over the very closed ecosystem of the iPhone. And so even though there's still Google in the background for me with my more or less vanilla Android, it's a much better experience than I had before. And there are, of course, ways to be a little bit more privacy concerned. And so I do know iOS, haven't had any personal experience myself yet, but it's good to see that people like you, NeoQC, are using it and are happy with it, so sounds great. I might actually eventually switch from Android to iOS. I mean, Murena, the company behind iOS, is growing and heavily promoting iOS, of course, and it's possible to install it on an existing phone. You don't have to buy a new phone for it, so I might actually eventually switch to iOS. Because yeah, I mean, privacy is so important nowadays, and it's only becoming more important by the day, if you read the news. If you don't, more power to you. I guess can only be good for your mental health. All right, folks, it's 3 o'clock, so the end of an hour, in this case, the end of my office hour. This has been fun. Thanks for all your questions. I try to be back with more live coding streams next week. I have a few things on my plate that I want to share, and I hope that I'll have the energy to do live coding streams on Tuesday afternoon, 2 p.m. Irish time, and Thursday afternoon, 2 p.m. Irish time. And if my past experience is telling me anything, I'll most definitely will be back next Friday at 2 p.m. Irish time to do another office hour where you can again ask me questions. So I'll wrap things up at this point. I hope you had fun. I definitely did. These office hours are always great fun. Thanks for all the great conversations, for your questions, for your other contributions. I hope you'll have a great Friday, an even greater weekend. And hey, until next time, take care.